Hey everybody, welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm your host for tonight. It's Rockin Robbie. What's up everybody? It's time for a special edition of Rockin Robbie Live, a Horror Fest edition. Tonight we will be watching The Mummy, starring Boris Karloff, The Uncanny, from 1932, the Universal classic. I'm a huge fan of The Mummy, so I'm going to give you a little bit of time in case you are here with us live watching it. And if you're watching it on the replay, here's what you do. Get your Blu-ray, get your DVD, get whatever you have The Mummy, the original. Get it ready. And we've skipped past all the BS, and I am literally at 00.00 on my screen. And when I hit play, it's going to start immediately with none of the bogus menu stuff before or any of the extra stuff. And you can watch along this Mummy classic with me. The best mummy movie that has ever been made, in my opinion, 1932, directed by Karl Freund. Let's talk about it just a little bit. So after the success of Dracula and after the success of Frankenstein, they definitely wanted to do something else. So Carl Laemmle tasked Nina Wilcox Putnam and Richard Schayer with adapting yet another novel, gothic horror novel, for film. Just like they did with Frankenstein and Dracula. Well, they couldn't find anything really to fit the aesthetic they wanted, but they came across the idea of Cagliostro, which was an Italian who was prevalent in French society, and he passed himself off as an alchemist and a magician, a hypnotist, or whatever, right? And they kind of came up with this idea for a movie about that. And then they brought in John L. Balderston, who had written the screenplays for Dracula and Frankenstein, I believe, to come in and do The Mummy. And Karl Freund was the one who directed this film. He had filmed such classics like Dracula, Murders in the Rue Morgue, and y'all, Metropolis. So let's not discount. This movie looks amazing. It's great. If you're in here in the chat, feel free to join in if you're watching it live. But we are about to get going here with The Mummy. I'm about to hit play. What's up, Dylan? What's up, Fable? What's up, Alex? What's up, Sam? What's up, Billy? It is one of the classics, and yes, this is very much real. So here we go, y'all. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're now playing The Mummy. So The Mummy is playing, and you got the Universal logo, and you got the plane going around it. I love those old stupid logos. They're so freaking cool. But the idea of this is watch along with The Mummy with me. Now or later. Doesn't matter. I love the title sequence. They obviously did that with like a 3D model. It's super cool. So yeah, you see the stories by Putnam and Schayer. Balderston did the screenplay. And once again, and there's Karl Freund's credit. Once again, just like Dracula, they use, and there's the credits, some amazing actors here. We'll be talking about them, especially Karloff and Johann. And a little bit of Van Sloan, because if you paid attention to the Dracula live commentaries I did last year, you know I'm a big fan of Edward Van Sloan. Lewis, hey, what's up? It is kind of like a Robbie Reacts. It's watching along with me, as if I'm here chatting with you about the movie. This is the Scroll of Thoth. Herein are set down the magic words by which Isis raised Osiris from the dead. I love it. I love the use of Swan Lake. I really, really do. I've said this on the Dracula live commentary we did last year. O Amun-Ra, O God of gods, death is but the doorway to new life. We live today, we shall live again. In many forms shall we return, O Mighty One. So we're starting in the movie. Great music, though. Great music. Swan Lake was great, and just like in Dracula, I associate it now with horror films. Stock footage of Egypt, or who knows where, to be honest. Some kind of ruins. So they wanted to capitalize on the success of Dracula and Frankenstein. They came up with this idea. It gets accused of kind of ripping off Dracula a little bit, but it was also taking on the idea of this super fascination in the 20s with Egyptian culture, ancient Egyptian culture, I should say, with the discovery of the king of The tomb of King Tutankhamun. Method is everything, my boy. So this is Arthur Byron as the older guy. And the younger guy is Bramwell Fletcher. Great performances in this movie. So obviously this is a famous Universal monster movie. And it is similar to Dracula at times, one would say. There's Edward Van Sloan in the back looking at the mummy. The mummy's already there. So it was an 8-hour process to get Boris Karloff into this mummy makeup. Now, I think that's a dummy that's right there. But it took like 8 hours to put it on. And apparently it was like one of the most excruciating makeups to ever take off. So obviously they remade this movie in 99. Stephen Sommers, more of an action adventure, kind of going more with there was not a sequel to The Mummy, but they did other mummy films with Carice. And we'll be talking about those in the following weeks. That's Boris right there. So that makeup took 8 hours, was excruciatingly painful to pull out. And you barely see him in that makeup. It's exceptional how restrained Karl Freund and company were. I'm going to be all over the place tonight. This is how this works. Boris, Bela, and Lon Chaney, all great. You are right, Ken. So if this is like a Dracula formula, Edward Van Sloan is once again playing the Van Helsing character. He's playing Dr. Mueller in this film. And it's a very similar idea. He's supposed to be like an expert on the occult and Egyptian mythology and Egyptian history. And then these guys are just kind of, archaeologists. They just want to know. They want to dig this stuff up and find out what's going on. They want to open the box. Yeah, maybe the answer's in that box right there. Don't you love the way they talk in these old movies? Look how high his pants are pulled up. Holy cow, weird stretch, bro. So there's gung-ho opening this. Karl Freund, this is early, 1932. They didn't like to move the camera so much. Karl Freund did it, and it was really, really substantial by 1932 standards. This movie was released in December of 1932, I believe on 22nd, near the solstice. It's now the equinox, pretty much, when we're filming this. The equinox is like tomorrow morning exactly, but happy equinox, everybody. Autumnal equinox. It's gold. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. This cat's about to read this curse. But his reaction to it cracks me up. All right, so like all willy-nilly just opens it up. I don't think they do it that way, but whatever. What's up, Will? What's up? Hypatia? Stanhope? So they open this up. He's about to read this curse. This dude with the glasses. He's going to read this curse, and his reaction, he says something like, "Good heavens, what a terrible curse." Like, it's so freaking funny to me. I love that delivery. Right here. Here it comes. Oh my God. I love that. And then the other dude's like, "Let's see what's inside." And Edward Van Sloan's like, "Hell no. Are you serious?" But pay attention. So the whole idea about science versus superstition. That's a whole thing. That's one of the themes of this movie. Science versus superstition. And at the time, it was easy to think of ancient cultures as being superstitious. But nowadays, the more we find out and the more we dive within, maybe they knew something a little bit more back in ancient Egypt. But I love this, is that Edward Van Sloan's character, Dr. Mueller, is completely aware that he cannot reach this young buck right here. That's just one. You see the way he just stared his ass down? So he grabs it, and then he's going to take him outside to explain to him underneath the stars of Egypt. Now, this dude is a modern occultist. They get into it just a little bit. I also want to point out that not only is the Karloff makeup great, but that sarcophagus looks amazing. Anyway, this dude read that curse and went, "Good heavens, what a terrible curse." He was so worried about it. Then he's like, "In the interest of science, I must open it." But this dude is straight up like, yeah, just like Will says, He's like, fuck it. Let's open it up. Edward Van Sloan, meanwhile, is like, let's get out of here. Now, okay, 8 hours to put Boris Karloff in makeup. This really crazy, awesome, some of the best makeup that Jack Pierce did at Universal. And he did amazing stuff. Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, The Wolfman, come on, y'all, and The Mummy. The Mummy's one of his absolute best ones. This is such a beautiful scene. There's no music. There's no music whatsoever. That's heightening everything. The slow camera moves, the way he's moving the lamp over right now, that's genius. That's something that in 1932 was like revolutionary, just to do that kind of a camera move and that kind of an action at the same time. The pacing of this scene is great. But they made Karloff up in this elaborate ass makeup and barely show him. Now he's about to wake up after this dude. He just can't withstand it. He's going to open it up. You know what I'm saying? He's just going to open it up. He's going to read the curse and all that stuff. We know what's happening. So, when Karloff wakes up as the Mummy, it's so subtle, so low-key. But apparently in 1932 in the theaters, people freaked the F out. They, like, fainted in the aisles. They screamed. You know, we're used to this escalation in horror. This is in the early days. It did not take much to freak the fuck out of people. Really not. So he's just like, screw it, we're going to open it up. Now I love, see, like the way that he just wipes himself down right there. That's like another thing just to build the tension up. It's got this old ass scroll. Like seriously, if he picked up something that old just randomly, he should be way more careful with it. But we're not watching The Mummy for historical accuracy whatsoever. So Balderston's the one who was obsessed a little bit with ancient Egypt, turned the idea of Cagliostro into The Mummy. Well, originally it was going to be Imhotep was the name of the film. And in the original script of the Cagliostro story, he's a 3,000-year-old magician who's managed to stay alive, and he has a problem with, he was scorned by a woman one time, so now he takes his revenge on any woman that resembles that. It got changed into Imhotep being a mummy who's in love with this woman, was killed because of this love, because it was considered sacrilegious or whatever, or against the grain. And that love is eternal. And now he has been resurrected right here. And that's a dummy right there. But that sarcophagus looks amazing. So they turn into like this over time love story that I think is really resonating. And something that separates it from Dracula in particular. Here it comes. He just slowly opens his eyes. Oh my goodness. That's so amazing. And then the slow pan down and he's going to have one of his arms. Right now, Karloff's like Wakanda forever. He's doing it a little bit wrong though. He's kind of like this. Just that slow. The first time we see the ring, that's kind of a factor. Oh. And then after the arms come down, y'all, we never freaking see this mummy again. We see the hand. We see the bandages as it walks away. Look at how expertly this scene is. The camera's moving down. It's on dude. He's completely unaware this mummy just woke up next to him. Like right behind him. Dude, that's so creepy. That's effective today. Look at that makeup. Holy cow. I don't want to talk too much over this scene because it's honestly one of the best scenes in Universal horror history. The lighting. Dude just goes crazy. So all we saw was him wake up, then we saw the hand, and now we're seeing the bandages go away. And that dude's laugh, he's like the Rainfield of this film, but we don't really see him much after this, but we do hear that he died laughing. Everything you need to know. So this is set in 1921. Keep that in mind. King Tut's tomb was discovered in 22, something like that. There was a big fascination. That's why all those old school Hollywood theaters have Egyptian, themes and stuff like that. It was very popular back in those days. Ugh. Good heavens, someone just stole the scroll and the mummy. He went for a little walk. Now we're cutting 10 years ahead. Yeah, like 11 years ahead. And David Manners is going to be playing Frank. Is it Frank? Yeah, Frank. Frank is Arthur Byron. That's Sir Joseph. He's the dude who was like, what the hell? Because Edward Van Sloan's like, I'm out of this motherfucker. This mummy's about to just come alive. So Frank right there, he's the heartthrob right there. He was Jonathan Harker in Dracula. He's a great performer. He was also in Black Cat with Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff. A great film. And he is Sir Joseph's son. Because after they lost the mummy, his dad didn't quite feel comfortable, I guess, digging up mummies and ancient tombs and shit. This blasted desert. Look at that dude's shirt, like all opened up, that other guy. Who is that? Is that Leonard Muty? I don't know. I can't see a picture of it. Yeah, that is him. He was the priest in Rage in Heaven in 41. You know what I think it was? I think he went crazy. Now, notice, yeah, they promote a lot of smoking in these movies. Oh, that's a great delivery. He died laughing. But when they're showing that, it's something to take away from the idea that it's basically just a two-shot of these dudes from the crotch up sitting there talking. Very melodramatically. Oh, yes, Black Cat 34 is incredible. I love that. There's Boris as Imhotep. Now, basically, the idea is this. And I remember the first time I watched this as a kid, I was kind of disappointed that he wasn't the mummy all the way through. I honestly was. But I have come to appreciate this performance so much. So, he is super aged, right? With a crazy, elaborate process of makeup that they still use a little bit today. They use the technique. But this is basically Imhotep 10 years later after he has taken off his bandages, cleaned himself up just a little bit, got him a new fez. All the villains in the Mummy movies from the 30s and 40s have fezzes, by the way. They really do. Jesus. So what they would do is they would stretch the skin out, right? They would stretch the skin out, and what basically Jack Pierce would do, they had very unsophisticated techniques. Not techniques, they had sophisticated techniques, but unsophisticated materials. So he would put down some like spirit gum, some glue, and then he would put some like cotton on it, and then some collodion, and it was like super toxic stuff. And I'm sure Boris had to like, Rick Baker says he had to like hold his breath many times, and they would let it dry, and then they release it, and it would create these wrinkles. And they still use that process, that not those materials, but they use that technique still today. And when they did the bandaging, like Jack Pierce bandaged Boris Karloff elaborately by hand. And it, like I said, it took 8 hours to put that makeup on. This makeup probably didn't take as much, but I'm sure it was very, very excruciatingly laborious and tedious. So Imhotep shows up, calls himself Ardeth Bey, which there's a nice nod to that in the Stephen Sommers Mummy movie where one of the heroes is named Ardeth Bey, and that's cool. That's cool. One thing I do appreciate about that Stephen Sommers, Brendan Fraser Mummy movie, look at these fucking jackasses, by the way. Just up there, smoking their pipe, watching these fuckers dig, waiting for them to be like, we found something. They're always like, whew, so hot. Such hard work out here. Drinking lemonade and gin and tonics. It's a little exploitative. Just saying. That's probably how it was, though, to be honest with you. Yo, I'm fascinated with Egyptian culture. Absolutely fascinated. Ankhsenamun. So, Ankhsenamun is the name of King Tut's only wife, but that wasn't popular knowledge at the time. They just kind of used that term because they thought it sounded cool. Imhotep is actually the name of the first architect and builder of the first pyramid. This is not related to that character. It's not related to the historical Ankhsenamun, but I love this love story that got put together. And one thing I do like about that Sommers film is that they they still keep it's the love story. And like Dracula to me is not the love story. The Mummy is, and I really like it. It's a really wicked love story, but I like it. I like it a lot. So now we're skipping ahead a little bit more. They found Ankhsenamun's tomb, and now they're at the Cairo Museum. Don't you love that music? Was this music written for this movie? If so, why did they use James Dietrich. Why did they use Swan Lake? I don't know. Probably the association to Dracula. Oh, these shots. Yeah, I grew up loving these movies. Oh, that music. Oh my. Oh, the gods. This is one of my favorite movies, y'all. So at times you're just going to have to deal with me just being like, listen to that. Listen to that. What is that? Like an oboe or a... What is that? That's something dope. What's up, Herminio? I see you out there. Ugh. And then this really cool, like, scrolling across town, and we introduce ourselves to Helen, played by Zita Johann. A fascinating actor. She was a major success on Broadway as a Broadway actor. That music. Looking out at the pyramids. How romantic of an idea is that? Just being out there at a dance party in Cairo, looking out over at the pyramids. Goodness me. So pay attention that Edward Van Sloan has already been known as to be an expert on the occult. And he mentions that Helen is one of his most fascinating students, and that's interesting. Zita Johann was a very accomplished Broadway actor, and the money in film was really good, especially for the 30s. We're talking Great Depression. She got $7,500 a week. There, he just said that, my most interesting patient. And she kind of laughs it off. It's weird. And here we're getting some exposition from these two dudes that we never see again. I saw that somebody had said that in a commentary. He's basically like John Anthony West, I think, is what Edward Van Sloan is playing. Dr. Mueller. I think that's the same type of thing. Anyway, so she was an accomplished actor. She didn't really like Hollywood. She had a disdain. She had a lot of trouble with Karl Freund on this title, for instance. This is his first movie directing. And this is when Sir Joseph meets Imhotep for the first time. For the second time, I should say. Oh, goodness me. The museum should be open all night, in your honor. But Zita Johann was actually into the occult. She was a student of the occult sciences. She was a really snarky, headstrong lady in 1932 that clashed with a lot of people. But she was, I think she's a fascinating character. She believed in reincarnation. She would actually invite the essence of the characters that she was playing into a magical circle and basically evoke and invoke them into her and become those characters. It was fascinating. It was the perfect role for her. So one thing I do want to say about Boris Karloff's performance is it's very understated. And it's been said that Boris Karloff, just his look, his striking features, his just amazing audible accent. It's so over the top, just at a normal level. So they intentionally kept him understated, barely moving. Also the idea that maybe if he moved too fast, he'd crumble because he's like a 3,000-year-old mummy. But it's so understated and it's so threatening and so horrifying. And this is another one of my favorite sequences. So he's trying to resurrect Ankhsenamun, who is actually not going to work because she's reincarnated in the soul of Helen right now. So he's trying to resurrect her, do this special. He's basically doing this magic ritual at the museum. He's going to get caught. This dude's going to turn on the light. Okay? This cracks me up. This dude's going to turn on the light. And then Imhotep's just going to stand up all calmly and then go into another, light switch and turn the light off. and try to get away. It's so fun because he does it so like fluidly and just like, I'll just turn to the... These are some great shots. Karl Freund, of course, was German, so he was well versed in the German expressionistic films of the 20s and early 30s. Like I said, he helped photograph Metropolis. He actually wound up being the photographer of I Love Lucy as well. Interesting fact. So we're getting the idea now that Anck-Sinammun's soul is actually in Helen because he's trying to bring her soul back into the body of the mummy to cause her to live again like himself. And it's drawing her to the museum, where David Manners instantly falls in love with her when he meets her. And she instantly falls in love with him. Dracula is pure psycho, but the mummy is weird, tragic love story. 100%. What's up, Ruben? How are you doing? So basically, Colonel, the idea is that when the King Tut tomb happened and there was the idea of the curse of the Pharaoh and all that kind of stuff, anybody who was related to anybody who was a part of the build or the discovery of the expedition, it became like sensationalistic news. And so the media would like, and yeah, the media was just as deceptive back then as it can be today. They would just throw all this stuff out. People were obsessed with Egypt and the idea of curses and all that kind of stuff. I remember that. But like a guy will die like 30 years later and they'll be like, it was the King Tut curse. Dude, come on, man. He got hit by a bus. That didn't actually happen, but like, didn't one of the founders get bit and a spot on his face and get malaria from a mosquito or something? So here's David Manners in typical fashion, these movies from the 30s. He's about to instantaneously fall in love with this woman. She's very weakly trying to get in there. There you go. David Manners plays the goofy, like, leading guy, heartthrob very well in this trilogy of films for me and the Universal Horror icon and classics. Dracula, The Mummy, and The Black Cat. Zita plays an amazing role in here. And the way that she's described by people who met her, it just seems like she's a really cool, snarky, sarcastic, interesting person. Then how do you know it, bruh? Oh, here it comes. This is where the dude's going to catch him. He's going to turn on the light. This is so funny. I'll turn off my candle. He turns on a flashlight. Watch this. This just cracks me up for some reason. So he goes and turns on the light. I've got you now. He just calmly walks to the other light and just turns it off. And then he gets followed and he kills the guy off camera. Because even though it was pre-code, it was still dope. Where did they film this? Is this a set? Surely they didn't get to go to like some museum to film this. That has to be a set, right? Obviously. They did all this shit on sets back in those days. It's a white guy playing a Nubian. Common in these pictures back in those days. But as Warner Brothers would say, we present this in its original fashion. This is very similar. I mean, honestly, if you think about it, to Dracula. So if he's the Van Helsing character, he's the Seward character. Helen would be the Mina Lucy character. Frank was obviously then the Jonathan Harker character. And Imhotep is Dracula. I mean, it's very similar in structure, 100%. They changed some things, though, and that's one of the difference. Yeah, Murders in the Rue Morgue in 1932 with Bela Lugosi is amazing. It was filmed by Karl Freund as well. And it's probably one of the most expressionistic of the Universal horror classics. It is a gorgeous movie to watch. And it's pre-code, just like this one was. So there were certain things that they could get away with, actually, in these days that was actually kind of bold. They're very tame by today's standards, but for the day's standards, they were bold. And even to the standards, I think, of the 40s Universal monster movies, these are pretty damn bold and suggestive. Especially Murders of the Rue Morgue and the Black Cat with the torture elements and stuff. And even if it's off camera, it's incredibly suggestive. My favorite horror movie of all time is a hard one to peg down, but it usually bounces between Dracula from 1931 with Bela Lugosi and Suspiria by Dario Argento from, what was that, 77, 78? Something like that. And was it hot? Whoo! Stuck in the desert. This asshole was just sitting there sipping gin and tonics while these slaves basically were fucking digging out his tomb. Come on, man. I love how freaked out she gets by this. He's basically being like, you know, we dug up this ancient Egyptian mummy that you're reincarnated from, and I was going through her panties, and you know, I feel like I knew her now. What the hell? Huh. What a fucking dope ass that's a fucking burn, dude. Savage. Do you have to open graves to find girls to fall in love with? Dude. He's trying to mac on her, and she just straight up just like accused him of necrophilia. Imhotep. The mummy that disappeared 10 years ago. He's already piecing it together. Closing time. Are there more? What language was that? Oh, yeah, that's probably Arabic or something. So that's the dude that Imhotep killed by some means. Who knows? He can't move too much. What did he do? Did he sorcerize him to death? Now, not every guy that wears a fez in these movies is a bad guy, I guess. It was just a popular thing in those days. So he left the Scroll of Thoth. The Scroll of Thoth is not a real item. It's a fictional item. But I'm 100% sure because it's allegedly the scroll that Thoth gave Isis to raise Osiris from the dead, the famous myth. You know, Set kills Osiris, cuts him up into different pieces. Isis goes and finds all the pieces, puts them back together with a cow head, right? And then uses a spell to resurrect him. But it's totally based on the Book of the Dead. I have a copy of the Book of the Dead. Maybe next week when we do the Mummy's Hand, I'll have that behind me instead of this one. Look at David Manners is macking, yo. He is like the JT of his day. Look at him. Look at him right now. He's hardcore macking on her. He's like, this is shady. This is not cool. This is slightly problematic, I would say, by today's standards. This woman just passed out. You know, she's under some kind of hypnotic spell from an ancient mummy sorcerer that they're worried about. And here he is just like leaning in so intently. I fell in love with a dead woman that I mixed up and I've looked through her panties and now I'm looking at you. Look how close he is. He is. You can tell me to go to the devil, but you can't laugh at me. He's like, this is majorly hardcore. Like, what the fuck, bro? You're like, yeah, you worried about your son, but your son's the one that's like fucking meeting women passed out at a goddamn street outside of a museum, and then immediately while they're recovering and trying to like all like hardcore fucking mac on them and shit. I'll be back in a minute. Let me straighten these fellas out. We're having a gay old time tonight. David Manners cracks me the fuck up in all of these movies, man. I love this dude. They're playing the exact same characters that they played in Dracula, though. I'm sure they thought they were almost making the same damn movie, just with Karloff this time as Dracula. And their actual love story. It's like, look here, Dr. Mueller. Stop cock blocking me. Look at him. Here we go. So just like Dracula would hypnotically control the servants, he can control the Nubian, apparently. That's another kind of type thing. But we do get these cool shots where the eyes start kind of glowing, which is another thing they did in Dracula. Obviously a Karl Freund technique, I guess. By the ancient words, I control you. Servant of Egypt or whatever. I mean, okay, it is Dracula. I mean, the movie is Dracula with some different set dressing and some things changed around. But I love it. I still love it. I've always loved this film. I've had a fascination with Egyptian culture and mythology. I love these universal horror movies. It's just absolutely fantastic. And the music. You know, Dracula didn't have the music. Philip Glass added some later, but it wasn't quite as good, I don't think. A Thousand Paladins. Are you sure your name's not Anxinamu? I think I'm your lover. Sam, what's up, my man? He says, you have to give props to the classic horror movies. People in the theaters actually passed out when Phantom had his mask removed in the Phantom of the Opera. The 30s and 40s horrors can't be beat, yeah. That's a scary moment when Lon Chaney takes off that, because the idea of like makeup effects like that were unknown, and the techniques that Lon Chaney Sr. used, extravagant. Oh, I love that line. I don't think one would forget meeting you, Audith Bay. Every time I meet someone new, I want them to say that to me. It's never happened. Oh, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari is an amazingly brilliant silent film. I got my copy right over there. I need to get one on Blu-ray. I'm sure they've released it on Blu-ray. Who's out there? She's mine, goddammit. Audith Bay. They're piecing it together now. Pimp-ass tuxedos, man. The way the camera moves to reveal it. Oh, the whole set. Like, instead of just cutting, they move the camera out. That's a big deal in 32. Kino Classics. That's cool. That's the DVD I got. So that's awesome. I think it is. Yeah, Kino Video. Man, she is fascinated. And look at David Manners right there. Look at Frank. Frank's just so pissed right now. He's like, I thought I was getting some tonight. And Imhotep's like, nope. I'm getting some tonight. Forgive me. Yeah, he barely takes his eyes off of her. When he does, it's so freaking scary. He's about to... Dude, look at this. This poor guy. What's up, Slow Flow? In case anybody wants to make sure they're matched up, if they're still watching, we are 36:50 into the film right now. These Universal movies are quick. But they're so good. Getting those ankle shots in the 20s. Colonel, this movie was actually pretty racy for its time. The low-cutness of Zeta Johan's garb right there, for instance, and some of the stuff that she wears a little bit later when she's being in the process of kind of trying to assume this Anxanamun role, was quite provocative, especially for 32. Fucking David Manners, please come, please, leave him alone, come back to me. Oh, I freaking love this movie. It's cheesy, it's fun, it's cool. David Manners is such a creep. I'm sorry. I think he's more creepy than Imhotep. At least they actually have like some kind of soul connection. Imhotep and Helen. David's just like, passed out girl. It's 1932. I know what to do. It's terrible. It's a terrible way to live. This is just like the scene in Dracula where he shows Dracula the mirror a little bit. Imhotep now knows that they know what's up, and this is a great scene. Look at that. I see it. Joseph's about to die. I mean, literally, he's about to die. But he's just like freaking the fuck out right now. Oh, here it goes. See, Dracula would have smashed the mirror. Look at this. Why do you show this to me? Look at this. Here we go. Watch the smugness that we get from Karloff right here. And the camera moves in. The Nubian, the ancient blood. Bruh, literally, he's right there in front of you. Grab him out and... Oh, but your power is too strong. Yeah, you got them glowy eyes, bruh. And that master fez. I love the power and the elegance and the smugness that Boris Karloff has here as Imhotep. It's not quite, I don't think, as intense of a scene as the one in Dracula that we were referencing, where Van Helsing confronts Dracula, but it's pretty dope. It's pretty freaking dope. It's true. So we're trucking along through. So now he's using his viewing pool. He's going to use his magic Darth Vader powers to choke this motherfucker to death as he's trying to burn the scroll. What a great set. He's doing a Darth Vader. That's what he's doing. What kind of incense shit does he got going on back there? That looks extravagant. I gotta get one of those. Ugh. And them pants are pulled up really high. If I can just get this window open, and I can signal for help, but... Poor Sir Joseph. And now for Frank, it's personal. First you tried to cockblock me, and now you killed my dad. That was the last straw, goddammit. Frank's worthless in this movie, to be honest. Just like David Manners' character was worthless in Dracula. The bat. Watch out, it will get in your hair. The high pants lasted till 92. I think they're making a comeback. I grew up in the 90s. Yeah, well, maybe till 92, maybe. The 90s, we started dropping them a little bit lower. I like that. It's a little bit of cleverness. I'm going to burn this meaningless piece of paper. Your dad may be dead, but he burned the scroll, so take solace in that, little kid. It would have saved his life. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, who would believe this guy? Who's like, this dude's a mummy. Oh, now, look at that. Hers to me, and I welcomed it. Yes. He's like playing the fuck out of him right now. He's like, I won't believe in your mummy bullshit. He goes, oh, yes, but he's trying to harm this woman. She liked you. My patient. That's very unethical. What kind of patient? What does that mean? What kind of patient is she? It's never explained. This is highly unethical. Look at the puppy. What a good dog. I don't know if I've ever noticed the dog there in that scene. Dog's barely there. I'll tell you this, though. David Manners knows how to wear a hat. And he knows how to pout, because that's what he's doing. But at least he knows how to wear that hat. What are you doing? Your father's death was in vain, Frank. That Nubian killed my father. The Isis medallion talisman is basically the crucifix from Dracula. It is a nice hat. So we don't quite know what the connection between Imhotep and Ankhsenamun is. We know that there's some kind of craziness going on because he was buried alive, they mention. There's the glowing eyes again. So dope. There's the dog. Look how pimp that dress is. And, my bad. I said David Manners knows how to wear a hat. Zeta Johann knows how to wear a hat. What's up, Perry? How are you doing, buddy? Watching The Mummy. We're 46:03 into it right now. It's him. But we're about to find out the whole story about Imhotep and Ankhsenamun and their love story and why he was buried alive and not given the proper rites of, the proper funerary rites. And here's the cat. The Egyptians worshipped the cat. They highly regarded the cats. So obviously we got some cat stuff there, which I like. So Imhotep's going to take, look at that, is that a Bast or a Sekhmet behind him? That's dope. The cat goddess. I love the sets in here. Look at that beautiful cat. How the hell did they even get a cat to stay still for that long to film that shot? Perry, which one you watching tonight? I heard you enjoyed Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I heard it kind of unnerved you. I'm excited to check out some of these videos, bruh. Horror movies is my thing. This is my... I've had a few favorite bits in the movie. This is one of my absolute favorite sequences in the movie. This is where we see what exactly happened. It's a great flashback sequence. Now, there's a lot missing from this flashback sequence. There was a whole bunch of stuff where they took her reincarnations through history. She's a Roman soldier, or she's like a Christian martyr during Roman times. There's all these different historical periods where they're showing her being reincarnated. But they really just cut it down and let it focus on this. But this is amazing. Now, they reuse this almost exactly with new footage of Caris. Ugh. So they reuse a lot of this footage to explain the origin of Mummy's hand. Oh, hell yeah, Perry, Cabin in the Woods. After you watch it, you should watch our review on it and see what you think. That's a great film. 5 out of 5 you digs. Perfect score across the board at PCP. So this is some really great, well-shot stuff. And his voice. Boris Karloff's got the greatest voice. And that's why I'm drinking from the Frankenberry mug tonight. It's because the Frankenberry voice is modeled on Boris Karloff. I have not seen Host. Is that a good one? I just wrote it down. Maybe I'll get time to check it out. I think after this tonight it's going to be Near Dark or Night of the Living Dead. I'm not sure. Who knows? Boris Karloff looks dope as hell with that like leopard print shawl thing and the Egyptian garb going on. I was a pharaoh for a couple years of Halloween. Had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun doing that. Felt good. I had to look away because I was so wow. Some of the later Mummy movies are that, oh, I love this. It's going to move a little bit. He's going to get freaked out. Wouldn't you get freaked out? Watch this. That music's great. The statue of, who is that? Is it Osiris? And it moved? You know, at that point, I'm like, okay, never mind. I'm sorry. You can keep your damn scroll. Seriously, that statue just moved, homie. Why are you not freaked the fuck out? Oh, his voice. This is literally a flashback being narrated. And it's so compelling. So evocative of emotion and mystery and horror. So in the next movie, you know, they're retelling this story in a different way. Look how veiny Karloff is. But they refilm some of these scenes, close-ups. Oh, here he is getting wrapped alive. This is a horrifying scene to me. I remember being a kid being freaked out by this. Freaked out. Now in the Stephen Sommers one, they add in the idea that he's also got all these scarabs that have been dumped in with him. Well, what's the point of being buried alive if these bugs are going to eat the hell out of you? Maybe if it was slowly, but if you watch that movie, it's not slow. They just knew that the scarab was a thing in Egyptian lore. Like buried alive, that dude's dead right there. He ain't moving. He's dead. There's Anubis behind them. That's dope. Like And that sarcophagus again, that's a great one. I'd like to get a replica of that in some kind of fashion or form. A full-size one would be cool. Make one the size of my bed. That would be even better. But I don't think it's cool to necessarily sleep in a sarcophagus. Barnum. That's a great shot of them going up the hill, silhouetted. So, you got these, basically they're probably slaves, I don't know. They're carting the sarcophagus, and then they mentioned that they killed everybody, that they killed the people that helped them with the burial, then they killed the people that killed the people so that nobody would know. The people killing them, the people throwing spears and killing the other people, they're literally the same people made up differently, so it's the same actors throwing spears at themselves and killing themselves, which I think is pretty funny. Nice fun fact about this movie. Right here. So those dudes right there are also those dudes. So they actually stab themselves. It's funny. And then this is where the cut bits would have been, where they show her resurrections and reincarnations throughout history. Now, I mentioned that Zita Johann believed in reincarnation. She was a studier, a scholar of the occult sciences. She, when she was being interviewed by people in the 70s and whatnot, she still had Kabbalistic writings and diagrams all over her house. She still lived her life that way. She taught acting as well as acted herself, but she would teach people to evoke these characters into the circle and then to invoke them into themselves. Which is a really fascinating approach to method acting. But she was a true ceremonial magician. And that's probably one of the things that fascinates me about her character, and this movie in general. Karloff's a very sympathetic, tragic figure in this movie. Imhotep is. Because you can't make me care and feel for Dracula and Bela Lugosi's Dracula. As much as I love that film, I just don't feel for it. But Karloff was able to make us feel for Imhotep. He was able to make us feel for the Frankenstein monster. He also just played some dicks. Some people that you wanted to see get got, like in Black Cat. Oh, the damn dog. Don't you hurt that dog. Don't you do it. David Manners freaking out again. There you all. Wouldn't it be funny if she was just like, who the fuck are you? She's kind of acting like that. So Zita Johann and Karl Freund did not get along. He was it was his first film he was directing. He was kind of pushing his weight around, literally. He was like 300 pounds. He kind of took it all out on her. Some people say it's because he wanted to be able to, in case the studio was unhappy with the picture, he wanted to be able to say, well, I'm working with this actress who won't, get along with me or something like that. Maybe it was because he was a fucking sexist pig. That could have been it too. And the idea that that Zita Johann in 1932 was a very headstrong, independent, mystical and ceremonial magician lady who hated and despised Hollywood. Yeah, you could probably see them two personalities clashing. But she gives just as good of the performance as Karloff does, I think. Straight up. This dude met her last night. He goes, Helen, I love you. I think they taught everybody this narrative back in the day that you'll meet somebody, as soon as you start lusting after someone, that means you're in love, and you got to get married. She had sass and he was crass. Hell yeah. That's a great way to put it. What's up, Bob? Bob from Everything Comics dropping in as we're watching The Mummy. Bob, if you want to throw your Blu-ray on real quick, we're 57:05 into the movie. We only got like 16 minutes left. Bob, do you like these old Universal monster movies? I live for this shit. Oh, goddamn Angela Lansbury. Aunt May. What the fuck is that? Hell yeah, Bob. You should watch the Matrix. You should watch The Mummy with me sometime. That's why I'm filming this. So anybody, including myself, I've never done that. Wouldn't that be weird? To watch a movie with my commentary, that would be weird. I'd probably be like, what the fuck am I talking about? This is rather provocative for 1932. Look at what she's wearing. The nightgown's turned down. There's a lot of skin showing. I'm just saying. Yeah, the Mummy 40 sequels were very short. We're going to be covering those in the next few weeks. Every Monday night until Halloween is a Mummy Monday, except for the 19th, because the Cowboys are playing Monday Night Football. So we're going to be covering this one. Next week's The Mummy's Hand. Then we're doing Ghost, Curse, Tomb, whatever order they come in. I can't remember. And then we're wrapping up there. We're not going to get to do Abbott and Costello this year, but we will do Abbott and Costello one day. In fact, I foresee the return of Mummy Monday one day, because there's still the Hammer film to do. There's a few Hammer films. There's the Stephen Sommers one that would be a fun one to do, so hell yeah. But next week is The Mummy's Hand, and Mummy's Hand is one I really, really like. I really like that movie. The original Mummy was a masterwork from Boris Karloff, and the makeup set the bar for a while on what could be done in horror. Hell yeah, everything. This guy. Love story happens very quick. This poor lady is just so confused right now. This is just like that scene in Dracula. It's just not Mina, it's Helen. 3 Hammer films, hell yeah. 3 Mummy Hammer films. Ken says, just went on eBay and bought the Universal Monster Collection 6 Classics. Hell yeah. My man. If anybody's having fun with this and you're not actually watching along and you want to get ready for next Monday night, The Mummy's Hand's the next one we're doing. You can get it in the Legacy Collection. It's on Blu-ray. It's on DVD. It's easy to find. Got my Raphael Mummy figure. My McDonald's Chicken McNugget Mummy figure. My Funko Mystery Mini Mummy figure with the Scroll of Thoth. My Funko Pop Mummy figure. And that's the Mummy from the Real Ghostbusters toy line. So those are all my Mummy toys that I'm aware of. What did she give him? Bromine? What is that? Bromine? Bromide? Bruh. What? Why would you give her bromine? Sharp and disagreeable smell? They're toxic. That's terrible. They knock people out, man. Wow. So he's trying to kill Frank, but it ain't gonna work. Because he grabs the Isis medallion, and there's the glowy eyes again. But I love this. She doesn't care. The long trail of the nightgown. We are nearing the end game now. These movies wrap up very quickly. And like HS just said, the next ones wrap up even quicker. They're like literally like an hour long. That outfit right there is quite provocative for 1932. So she's about to really start taking on the characteristics of this reincarnated soul. You do feel bad for Imhotep in here, and Boris Karloff sells the hell out of it. He's menacing, but at the same time, you're on his side. Or at least I am. But I think every dude wants to hear a woman say that at some point, or a woman or a dude or whatever they're into. You have suffered so much for me, and now I understand and I recognize it. And I'm yours forever. It's a little silly, but once again, these sets and the lighting. See, they're almost afraid of shadows in film today, but like back then they used them. Like that shadow just jumped, completely different area. The camera angle was the same, but the shadow jumps. The lighting had changed because they were going to move into a different shot, but it doesn't matter. She's starting to remember all of this. See, that's how you know Imhotep is real. Because Frank would probably take that deal. He should be shredded right now. He's like an old brittle mummy. Just broke that glass. This is terrible. So she's all game for this entire plan until she realizes that she has to die in order to be resurrected. That's when she starts freaking out. She prays to Isis and she gets saved. Spoilers. I just wanted to get it out of the way so we get more reaction now, because I just love this movie so much. So he's going to burn the mummy. She takes the mummy's place, dies, and then they resurrect it all completely. I guess in her current body? I'm not sure about that. I guess so. But the idea that she's just not down to die, and who would be? The Nubian. What's a Nubian? It's from Chasing Amy. The headdress is dope. The wig? Those bangs, man. When are those bangs coming back? Damn. The Guide of the Dead. So another working title for this film at one point was King of the Dead. That'd be a little bit different. Bruh, Anthony Davis. What have I to do with Anubis? You're a dirty mummy. She's starting to freak out now. Bruh, Boris Karloff. Bruh, Zeta Johann. Bruh, David Manners. Bruh, Edward Van Sloan. Bruh, Jack Pierce. Bruh, Karl Freund. The way you see the shadow of the Nubian back there stirring that brew. Creepy. Her great performance right here. Karloff's reaction. He's like, God damn it, woman. I was buried alive for you. You can't fucking barely burn for like 2 seconds. Look at that lighting. Let the deed be done. What body does he hope to resurrect? I don't understand. That's the kind of blade that you do not want to be stabbed by. Not that saying that you want to be stabbed by any blade, but definitely not that one. Let me go! Let me go! Here it comes. I want one of those rings. Whenever someone doesn't listen to me at work, I'll just be like, ooh, see Isis in the background, foreshadowing somebody's about to get got, and his name is Imhotep. Hey, what's up, Dylan? How are you doing, buddy? See? Useless. David Manner is useless in this film. He does nothing. He's going to kill her and make her a living mummy like himself. Look at that blade. Do you want to be got by that blade? Hell no. Great scene though coming up. Look at the lighting. The gods will receive into the underworld the spirits of Oxanamu, but not for long. Anubis kind of looked like a frog right there for a second. Dylan, I wish you could be watching The Mummy with us right now too. But you can watch it on the replay. The dialogue's really good. Balderston did a great job with this. The first rays of Amun-Ra dispel the shadows. Damn, bro. And of course the heroes arrive just in time. But they're useless. They don't prevent Imhotep from killing Helen. It's Helen's prayers to Isis. The gods of Egypt intervene. I guess they distract him, do they? Coming to the front door. Yeah, they distract him. So she wakes up. She goes, oh yeah, that's right. This crazy motherfucker's about to die. Kill me. So here we go. She prays to Isis. The ultimate betrayal, bro. Nebet Noctusor. Up, up, up. I told you to worry about the statues, bro. Oh, the statue's moving. That's creepy. I remember being a kid and that scared the hell out of me. That creeped me out when these statues move. I still get creeped out when you see videos of like crying Virgin Marys, and there's this one video where one is supposed to move and like get a cloak that flies up and it cracks. It freaks me out. It may be fake as hell, but it creeps me out. And now the mummy's going to turn to bones. And that's pretty much the movie. These mummy movies wrap up, these Universal movies wrap up very, very quickly. But that music, that beautiful beautiful music comes back in. Helen doesn't love you, Frank. Jesus. You're too good for him, Helen. He's a creep. And the scroll burns up, so it can't happen again. And there are the remains of the mummy, and it's over. The end. It's a universal picture. Such a little happy little dun 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 dun. Boris Karloff, Zita Johann, David Manners, Arthur Byron, Edward Van Sloan, Bramwell Fletcher, Noble Johnson. And look, Henry Victor credited as the Saxon warrior. That's one of those scenes that was cut out. And the movie's over. Great movie. Great movie. Fantastic movie. I absolutely love The Mummy. In conclusion, what's it about? It's about so much. It's the simple story about a love that can transcend time, a connection, but it's also about obsession, and an obsession that lasts through the ages, even beyond death. Death is only the beginning. There's so many more worlds than these. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for this live commentary on The Mummy starring Boris Karloff. Next week, on Monday night, it's time for another Mummy Monday. And we're going to be talking about The Mummy's Hand. This is one of the only Universal monster movies that didn't have a proper sequel. The Mummy's Hand is a completely new story, albeit basically it's a reboot. But they don't call it Imhotep, they call the mummy Karis. So it's a whole new story, and that launches 3 sequels. And that's what we're going to be talking about for the next 4 weeks, minus October 19th, because the Cowboys play that night. But until Halloween, except for that one night, every Monday is a Mummy Monday. The Hand is next week, and I love that film. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are dipping out. And remember, death is only the beginning.